Hi you guys, my name is Kimberly Flournoy, and today I would like to talk with you guys about an eventful night I had at work. Well, I used to work for this place that was a mental health and institution center where we would take in people that was either 1013 or they were willing to go to get clean and, of substances, or if they had a mental health problem. But this particular night, we had a guy that came in and he was brought in by the police. He was not a 1013. 1013 is a person that can either cause harm to themselves or others. So they're brought in against their will. But like I said before, you can be brought in without having to be on the 1013. So, but this particular night he was brought in, but he didn't want to be there. But the cop decided that, it was best for him because she felt like, she wanted to make sure he didn't go out and get into any trouble or anything, but he didn't want to be there. So after talking to her, and we told her that, he didn't seem like he was a harm to himself or others, and she didn't have the proper paperwork to bring him in as a 1013, that, if he didn't want to stay, he didn't have to stay. So we later, talked with her, and we went back and forth for at least about 15 to 20 minutes. And, basically told her that, he didn't have to stay if he didn't want to. She decided to go over our head and contact the director. After talking to the director gave her the go ahead to admit him, that he was fine, he can stay. So it was like, okay, well, that's out of our hands. There's nothing else for us to say. So she loved him. She loved him, and she gave him a glove that contained a cell phone, a cigarette lighter, some cigarettes, a pocket knife, and a couple of more miscellaneous stuff that was in his pocket. So she loved. And so the man, he stayed out in the foyer. The whole time that we were having this conversation with the police officer, he was in the foyer. He did not want to come in. So when he realized that she left and that he was there, he started to walk around in circles talking to himself. So we tried to encourage him to come in, so we can start the admit process, but he didn't. He wouldn't come in. So it was like, at this point in time, it was time to, kind of start a takedown, because he had been out there for at least 30 to 45 minutes after she had left. So, and the takedown is where we kind of take a patient down in a firm hold, and firm and safe hold. Kind of hold them down. If they still feel like combative or anything, then we'll give them a cocktail. And the cocktail is just like a shot or something to give them something to relax, so they won't be so agitated or combative or anything, try to fight us. So we decided that was best. That was what we needed to do. So we decided to call one of our coworkers. And our coworker, he's a really pretty big guy. He's probably maybe about 400 pounds. So we call him and tell him, we have a situation going on. So he decides to come outside the door, thinking that he would be able to sneak up on this patient and, kind of take him down. We all kind of, assist with that. But it did not happen like that. So when the guy realized that, he was coming in, for him, and we was going to take him down, he decides to run in. But when he ran in, he noticed that all of us are standing there with our gloves on. So, he was like, he didn't have nowhere to go. So he was running from chair to chair and up in the windowsill, trying to get away from us, basically. But he couldn't. So at that moment, he decides to jump across the counter, the desk where we all sit, like the desk, where the admit desk, should I say. And he jumped and he fell. So when he fell, we all kind of got in on top of him to do the takedown, to hold him and make sure he's not fighting us or, not trying to hurt himself or anything else. But when he did that, I realized that there was blood. And I was trying to figure out where this blood is coming from. So I'm examining the patient, trying to look up, look at him, trying to figure out exactly where is this blood coming from. And I didn't see anything at first. So, I'm looking at his hands, because I thought maybe he hit his head or something during the fall or the takedown. But then he turned his turned his head, and I realized that it was a big gash in his neck. And blood was just pouring everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, so nervous. I didn't know what to do. So I yelled out, call 911 and grab me some towels. So everybody's screaming around trying to call 911. We had several people trying to call 911 at the same time. And it just was a lot because we, you know, of course we never dealt with anything like that. We was not expecting to see that night. But, you know, everybody's doing their part. I'm there holding pressure, trying to pray and hold pressure because that's all I really could do at that moment. It's just pray and hold pressure. Until EMS came. EMS came, and then they discovered that he swallowed the pocket knife. The same pocket knife that the police officer gave back to him, knowing that that is something that you would turn into us, that, you know, he could not go on to the unit with it. So that was something she should have turned into us, but she gave it back to him. She later returned as well, and she was very apologetic because she felt like, you know, she had a lot to do with it because she forced him to stay there. Not that he needed anything, but I guess, you know, him being there and he was against his will, things led to one another. So that's how that went. I hope you guys enjoyed my story. It was very eventful and very scary night for me. Thank you for listening, and I hope to talk to y'all soon. Thank you.